Cool. Well, I'm working on a new laptop as well, so you have to bear with me a little bit on this one. So let's see where that works. We can all see. That's good news. So my name's Darren Clues. I'm the Group Sales Director for an advertising agency in Hull called Forward and Thinking. And apparently I'm here today to talk to you about a career in media and whatever that may or may not look like for people. And it kind of got me thinking quite a lot, actually, about what is a career in media, because media is quite a broad category, I think. So, full disclosure, there is a little bit of audience participation in this presentation. I'll be asking a couple of questions at the end. One of them is kind of what your take home is. Is there like a key word or a key phrase buried in the presentation somewhere that you take home? And the other bit of audience participation starts now, and that is, can anyone give me any kind of careers, any job titles that kind of fit in with a career in media?
Considering the broadness of media, this can do with anything from video editing, sort of producing. It can do with video games. It can do with image editing, logo making, all that sorts. And it can even do with music and all that sorts. Considering the broadness of media, there's a lot that media falls under. So there's a lot of careers that you can sort of stem off to from media.
100%, 100%. Anyone else? Any other job titles? No? Okay, so we had a kind of little tip on presenting, by the way. Always have a really pithy statement at some point that you read to everybody, and then you translate. So I'll do that now. It says, if you have a job in media, it means that you work in a field that revolves around managing mediums that pass along relevant information to those that want it. Basically, I think it puts you in a position of influence. It puts you in a position of telling people things that they want to hear. So job titles such as writing and editing, so as you kind of rightly pointed out, or my man behind the camera up there. Journalism and broadcast journalism, so whether that's on the paper or in front of the screen. Or into production editing, production teams, camera work, photography, videography. G there behind us is taking photos of me, which is very, very nice. That's what she does pretty much for a living for us. And then the field that I work in, which is in advertising and marketing, which again is really, really broad indeed. So I'll tell you briefly about where I'm from and what Forward and Thinking do. And then we can kind of move on a little bit. So Forward and Thinking, we are a media buying and digital marketing agency. We're a close-knit team of highly enthusiastic individuals that deliver powerful campaigns across multiple channels, from outdoor advertising, video TV production, to pay-per-click digital campaigns. Our experts research and select media that motivates. That's what we put on every single one of our presentations. What it basically means is we have a bunch of clients that we book advertising for. And those clients vary from colleges and universities through to online fashion brands, through to conservatory companies and everything else in between. And our job is, in consultation with them, to book advertising that is going to sell more conservatories, get more students in through the door, sell more clothes online, and that's our job. So that dumbs it down nicely and makes it seem a lot easier than it actually is. But we basically choose the right media at the right time for the right people to reach the right audience. What qualifies me to talk to you guys about a career in media? This is my career timeline. And this is properly bringing me back. I graduated from Loughborough University in 1996 with a degree in drama, which qualified me basically to do nothing at all. I realised I didn't want to be an actor. mainly because I've probably hung around with too many drama types. There are many drama types in the room. Sorry, I'm going to slag you off. I've been hung around with too many drama types for far too long and realised that that is just not what I want to do for a living. And hung around in spaces like this for 3 years. So it qualified me to do nothing, and it kind of left me a bit of a quandary, because what do I do with my life? I've just graduated with a degree that I can't use. So I was looking through the local newspaper, which is where you found jobs back in the day when everything was in black and white. We can all remember those days. There was an advert in there for a sales executive, and it had the 3 magic words. Does anyone know what those 3 magic words are? No experience necessary. And I thought, I've got no experience, I'm totally qualified for this job. So after 3 interviews for a £9,000 a year job, it wasn't a lot of money then either, I kind of got the job, and I found I had a natural kind of aptitude for it. And that isn't a natural aptitude for having a gift of the gab or being able to sell anything to anyone. It was a natural aptitude for genuinely caring what a customer wants and trying to help their business grow through introducing an audience to that customer. So really enjoyed it, went through the career path at the Leicester Mercury and the Nottingham Post and what have you. And then I left that kind of career to jump into being an advertising manager for a blinds business called Hillary's Blinds. And we were spending £18.5 million a year on advertising, and it was my job to sit on top of that pile of money and put it round where I needed it to go, with a view to getting the best possible response for that money, and obviously turning £18 million into I think it was about £150 million turnover that we wanted. Very, very stressful job, but I learned a lot about media during that time and how people respond and what kind of media responds best. But I missed sales, so I went back in and went back into sales, working for a billboard company, which is very much a broadcast media, and I went in working for that as a sales manager, and then very quickly moved on to be a business director within that company. And the one thing I never lost sight of was making sure that I kind of formed as a plug-in to whatever company I was working for, a plug-in to their marketing department. And I really kind of got off on that company's success. And that naturally kind of led me to work at Forward and Thinking, because that's pretty much what we do for a living. We plug into whatever company's marketing departments and deliver them the skills and the experience that they might not necessarily have themselves, and advise them the best way to go with whatever media it is that they're choosing. So that's kind of a little bit about me. And then it kind of got me thinking, this whole presentation got me thinking about what you actually need. I've got a degree in drama. What you actually need for a career in media. And so I did a rough survey of our office and found the following. 50% of my company's employees have relevant qualifications. People who have photography degrees or media studies degrees and what have you. The other 50%, people like myself, have degrees in drama. The owner of the company hasn't been to university. She's got no real relevant qualifications at all. She's the owner of an advertising agency purely by happenstance. So it's one of those things that kind of, I don't know which way I'm kind of guiding you throughout this presentation, I guess. We have got a few people though in our company, and I work really, really closely with a number of people who I asked them about their career path through to where they've got to. So this is Natalie. Now I'm not sure how good the sound is on this, so we have to be really, really quiet. This is Natalie. She's the MD of our company. Let's hear what she has to say, and hopefully we can actually hear what she has to say. So just to give a vague synopsis, because it was quite quiet, Natalie went to university. She studied economics and finance. Then now there was a marketing element to that degree. So full disclosure, there was a marketing element to that degree. She left university, kind of worked in a grad role, but then went on and interned, effectively worked for free at Forward and Thinking for a couple of weeks to see whether it was something she was interested in, to see whether we liked her, and got her foot in through the door, and she's now the MD of the company and doing very, very well indeed. So I'll introduce you to Lydia. Now Lydia works with Georgia in our marketing team. She's one of our newest employees, and she's, it says here she's a content producer. She produces all of our video, all of our social media, and along with G, I guess she's the brand champion for Forward and Thinking. So nothing leaves our company without those two seeing it and telling me it's in the wrong typeface, or it's the wrong corporate colours, or what have you. So they've really got their hand on the tiller of our company in terms of making sure that the whole look and feel of what we do that goes out there looks exactly how they want it to look. Now, this is slightly louder, I think, so let's hope you can actually hear this one.
Hi, my name's Lydia and I'm a content producer for Forward and Thinking. My route into marketing within media has been quite traditional. So I went to uni and studied media and popular culture, which was focused on film and television. And then as part of my course, I did a couple of weeks internship with Forward and Thinking. And they decided they liked me, so offered me full-time role of content producer.
So Lydia, as part of her university degree, worked at Forward and Thinking as an intern, and she's absolutely right, we liked her, so we offered her a job, and now she's with us full-time, and doing a very, very good job indeed. So she was very, very traditional, took a very traditional route through college, university, interning, job, and what have you. Now, we also work with numbers of other different companies. This is Mark. He's turned into a very good friend of mine, and his company, the Media Partnership, do video production, TV adverts. They employ people who work on Netflix documentaries, who've done BBC comedy shows, and what have you, kind of cameramen. They do really, really well. I asked Mark a couple of different questions. I asked him what actually qualifies him to own the company that he owns, but also what he looks for in potential new hires and new employees. He's also got a really nice voice as well. He's the voice of the Metro in Newcastle. So.
Hello, I'm Mark from the Media Partnership. We're a TV and video production company based up in the North East. Now, the first thing we look at when we're recruiting is relevant experience. We want to know what people have done. And also, if you've got a good show reel, so an example of your work, that's a really good way of actually getting yourself noticed. Now, I personally, I worked for free in radio for about 6 months before I was offered my first job. But education is really important too. It's not just about the experience. And the right course will actually give you hands-on experience of using kit. It's also a really good opportunity to experiment and make mistakes. This is something that you don't always have the luxury of in the real world. Now, I personally, I did a degree in media before I went to the industry full time, and that was a really good experience because, as I say, it is a really good opportunity to make those mistakes. I also got involved in the student radio station as well, but it was a mix of the two, the course and the experience that actually got me my first role in the media. So what I would say is just get out there, get involved in the media, and all the best for your future career.
So Mark's, I guess Mark's career path is very similar in the fact that he has a passion for the industry, did a degree course, and then he gave his time willingly over to another company and worked for 6 months for free before he had an opportunity to actually be paid for what he does. His company is phenomenally successful now and it's doing very, very well indeed. But I think one of the themes that seems to run through all the people I've spoken to is at somewhere along the line, they've got their experience from doing it for free. So I've got a lot of experience from working in college radio whilst he was at uni, but then he interned for free at a radio station. Lydia interned for us for 2 weeks as part of her course, and Natalie came and worked for free just to see whether she'd like it. So the experience that you need, and this will be kind of a running theme throughout the presentation, I guess, the experience you need needs to be got somewhere. You can't just have all of this kind of fantastic knowledge on paper. You need the experience from somewhere. And I hate this slide, and I hate the next slide about kind of what it means, and all of these people going, yeah, I was educated in the School of Hard Knocks and the University of Life. But there is a little bit of realism to this. And if you're going to get experience, you need to get it outside of your courses as well, I guess. We picked up on this phrase, another little pithy statement that I like to have on my presentations. Much of our education is to be obtained only in the School of Hard Knocks. There is no age limit, and the sooner we are graduated, the better for us. I think the point I've got there is, whilst you are young and poor, might as well give your time over freely at that point and gain all of the experience you can possibly get, because that is, I think, the thing that many, many people look for. Mark said when he's looking for new employees, he wants experience. How are you going to get that? You know, it's quite hard. I don't know what the conclusion of this presentation is, for the record. I've kind of gone wildly backwards and forwards on this a lot. So I genuinely believe, though, to get that experience, you need the education, and you need that foot in the door through education. So I spoke to Wajida. Now, Wajida is one of my clients. Works for Leicester College. She's the marketing manager at Leicester College. She has actually followed a really, really traditional route through into marketing. So she told me actually a bit of her story before she gave some advice as well. So Wajida's story is she studied media technology as a degree. She completed A-levels in media, English literature, sociology and IT, which all complemented doing media overall in terms of writing, understanding target audiences and technology. So actually for me, I look at Wajida and think she's had her eye on the prize right from the off. She always wanted to be in marketing, and her A-levels dictated that, and her degrees dictated that all the way through. Her advice tip number 1 was look at the type of university courses available and work backwards. What do you need for your A-levels to get through those university courses? Some courses are similar but different. For example, you can have media courses that involve creative elements or coding elements. Her course had both, and then you can choose which way to go from there. The other piece of advice she gave, now I know that some of you guys are already studying kind of BTEC T-levels and what have you, but she did say, explore BTEC and digital T-level options. BTEC and digital T-level options can also lead to university and equal the same UCAS points. With these options, you'll spend 2 years doing the same subject. There are varying courses that can lead to media, such as computing, film and photography, graphic design, etc. So that was some advice, I guess, from someone who's in the sector and who's working at a college. The bit that I kind of, I suppose, started thinking about is what would we look for, if I'm being kind of really honest and really, really brutally honest with you guys, what would we look for in future employees? And when I'm interviewing people, I kind of look for a couple of things. The first thing I ask for is experience. What experience have you got? Now, if you haven't got the experience, the other thing I definitely need is enthusiasm and knowledge about the job and what have you. And then the final thing I care about is the qualifications. So I don't want to kind of say that don't go to college, don't do this, but actually what you need, what those qualifications will get you is the experience that you need, and it's about how you sell that experience to your prospective employers. So, you know, we're all on social media nowadays, so actually even curating an Instagram page is really, really good experience. That's what Lydia does. Oh, that's what I think she does all day long, to be honest, G. Just on our Instagram page. It's pretty much like that. So that's kind of the kind of things that we look for. But, you know, experience is the key, I think. There's a bit of a clue coming up. So, what have we learnt from this? I don't think I've learned anything. I don't think I've actually drawn any sort of conclusion from this, this presentation, for the record. I've kind of gone backwards and forwards on it. But what have we learned? So, most people who work in media, certainly in the more creative side of media, have done it for a passion. They've pursued it, photography, graphic design, camera work, or what have you. That's become a passion that they've been able to study, and it's moved them into the creative industries and into media as a job, I guess. So Mark, for example, from the Media Partnership, did college radio, so that's how he kind of got his radio experience. Experience wins. If you're going to get a job, experience is the thing that's going to win. And I absolutely believe that. But the qualifications can help you get the experience. I think one of the themes that came through the presentation was that people who have been successful in media have given their time over to get the experience that they need. Now, I think what you might want to consider is at what point is it appropriate for you to give your time over. So if you're already at college, is there a college radio station that you could get involved in, because that is going to look great on your CV. If not, is there a local filmography firm that you can do running for free, but it'll give you all the experience we need. Whenever we work with a media partnership, there's always someone along, another kind of person who's come along to work for them just to do some running so they can get some experience on set. So that's pretty much me done today. Does anyone have any questions? But before I ask those questions, has there been anything like a take-home running theme that I've banged on about?
Experience.
The experience was weird. That is pretty much my take home, I think. Is anyone actually considering a career in media? Is that why everyone's here, or you just what do you want to go into?
Marketing media interests me.
Okay. In what area? Because it is such a broad. It's such a broad sector, isn't it?
Well, for me, I'd like to just learn as much as I can about it.
Yeah.
Anything that interests me really in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the great thing is, when I was a young lad, which was, in the sepia times, there was no such thing as marketing A-levels, marketing B-Techs. I mean, I think we struggled to do a marketing degree back in that day. So now there's so many different university and college options available to just kind of gobble up as much information as you humanly can. But yeah, I love what I do. I love marketing. I genuinely think I'm in the best job, because I get 9 out of 10 times to make clients happy, and the other 10% we don't worry about. Does anyone have any questions about a career in media that I can possibly answer? Right.
On the BTEC. And one of the things that struck me is when I'm looking for teachers, I go through the exact same process. First thing, before I look at qualifications, is I look for that experience. What experience does this individual have? How long have they been teaching? What kind of classes they've been teaching? And then you factor it down. Now, one of the things that struck me as the gentleman was talking today was, you lot, I assume all second years. You'll probably finish your qualifications round about late May, late June time. You've then got, 4 months before you go to university. That will be a prime time to get involved with the business in the same way that he was speaking of. Offer your time for free, because what else are you going to fill your time before university? And straight away you get that stamp on your CV with the experience.
I tell you, it's really hard for me to talk. I've got 2 young kids, and I talk to them about qualifications as well. And it's really hard to talk to them about qualifications when, in the back of my mind, I haven't been asked about my GCSEs and A-levels in years, because all they care about is what experience I have. But at some point, as you said, you have to work back to the point where if you haven't got the experience, well, what have you got? And I think that's the key. If you've got some downtime or you've got some study time where you can get involved in theatre productions or in filming or any other elements, just to bolster up that university application or your CV, or you phone up companies like Forward and Thinking, we'll take it, or any other media agency or filmography company in Hull, and say, I want to get some experience. What can I do? Can I come and work for you even for a few days? It's really going to help. It's really going to help, and we will take people on all the time. Genuinely, if you want to come and work at an agency and know what agency life is like, we can fill your time for a bit. That's not a problem. Does anyone else have any other questions before I shoot off and do work? No, go on.
I do. Considering games design is my dream job,
Right, okay.
is that anything related to media, or is it something else entirely? Because, this whole thing was about media, and I just wanted to know if it was related, or if it's just something else that I should try and look into myself.
Well, I mean, I think there's two elements to that. Game design is a career on its own, right? I still genuinely think that's somewhere loosely based within media. The fact that you want to, once that game has been designed, it has to be marketed, it has to be shown to the general public before anyone buys it. I think there is definitely stuff that you can do, but if you're purely talking in terms of just coding a game and making a game happen, you still need that experience at some point. You still need to be able to talk to that company. There's massive one in Sheffield, and say, well, this is why you should employ me. And if you've got experience that kind of broadens out what you're offering.
Right. So it's sort of found a way to link them together via experience, and I kind of like that. So from what I've gathered, I'll be able to go and find some sort of place that I'll be able to sort of work after my college thing and before university, so I can get that experience so I can then pursue my dream job.
Yeah. Well, ideally, that's the best case scenario. Approaching someone, finding a company to do that. Yes, absolutely. Getting a computer that works is always a good start. Thank you. Anyone else? Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.